What if the most powerful thing you could ever say is nothing at all? In the next few minutes, you're going to discover why the people who speak the least are often feared, respected, and remembered the most. And by the end of this, you will understand exactly what has been draining your authority every single time you open your mouth. Most people believe that to be respected, they need to be heard. They talk louder, argue longer, explain more. They fill every silence with words as if quiet itself were a form of weakness. But here's what nobody tells you. The moment you stop needing to fill the silence, everything changes. The room shifts. People lean in. And without saying a single word, you have already communicated something that 1,000 sentences never could. Think about the most commanding person you have ever met. Not the loudest one. The one who made you feel somehow that every word they chose to speak actually mattered. That person was not performing confidence. They were practicing something ancient, something almost forgotten in a world that rewards noise. So there is a war happening inside every conversation you have ever been in. Not between two people, but between two forces. The need to be understood and the fear of being ignored. And most of us, without realizing it, let that fear win. We over-explain, we justify, we repeat ourselves. We chase approval through words, and in doing so, we hand over the one thing that commands real respect, our composure. So here's what that costs you. Every unnecessary word you speak signals something. It signals that you need the other person to agree with you. It signals that silence makes you uncomfortable, and people, consciously or not, read those signals instantly. They sense the desperation beneath the politeness, and respect quietly walks out the door. But what if you could rewire that? What if silence were not emptiness, but a strategy? The people who have mastered these, leaders, negotiators, the kind of individuals who walk into a room and shift its energy without announcing themselves, they all share one quiet discipline. They have learned to be comfortable in the space between words. Not as a trick, not as a manipulation, but as a genuine expression of inner certainty. And that certainty is magnetic in a way that words almost never are. Here is the part that most people miss entirely. Silence is not passive. It is one of the most active things a human being can do in a conversation. When you stay quiet after someone speaks, you force them to sit with what they just said. You give weight to the moment. You communicate without a single syllable. That you are not rattled, that you are thinking, not reacting. That distinction alone separates the respected from the overlooked. So now consider this. Why do so many brilliant, capable people still struggle to command the room? They have ideas, they have the credentials, they have done the work. Yet something keeps them small. Something keeps them apologizing, over-explaining, softening every statement until it loses its edge. The answer is not a lack of intelligence, it is a deeply emotional one. And it almost always traces back to the fear of being misunderstood. But that fear is the real enemy, not silence, not conflict. The terror that if you do not explain yourself completely, people will get you wrong. So you talk, and in talking, you unknowingly communicate the very insecurity you were trying to hide. The solution is not to prepare better sentences. It is to need the approval less. And here is where everything you thought you knew about communication begins to fall apart. Because the moment you stop being afraid of silence, your words change. They become fewer, more deliberate, more precise. And people start to notice that. They start to wonder what you are thinking. They start to feel the silence themselves. And whoever feels the silence first is rarely the one in control. This is not manipulation. This is a mastery over your own nervous system in the presence of social pressure. Real respect is never demanded. It is never begged for. It is never explained into existence. It arrives quietly and inevitable when the people around you sense that you are completely at ease with who you are, even when no one is applauding, especially then. There is a discipline in this. It requires you to sit with discomfort, to let a pause last 3 seconds longer than feels natural, to hear a challenge and respond not with a flood of words, but with a single measured sentence, or nothing at all. That restraint, practiced consistently, builds something inside you that no amount of eloquence ever could. It builds presence. And that is so, so important for people. And presence is what people actually respond to. Not to resume, not the vocabulary, not the perfectly constructed argument, the felt sense that this person doesn't need anything from me right now. And that changes everything about how they are perceived. So here's the question you need to sit with. How much of your authority are you spending every day trying to convince people of things they would simply believe if you stop trying so hard? You already know the answer. You have felt it in meetings, in conversations, in moments when you walked away thinking, I said too much. That feeling is not failure. That is awareness. And awareness is always the first step towards something better. What you carry out of this video is simple. And it is worth more than any talking technique you have ever learned. The next time you feel the urge to over-explain, justify, or chase someone's approval with words, pause. Get a pause. Let the silence do what words cannot. Let it speak for you. Because in that stillness, something unmistakable communicates itself. Something that every person in the room will feel before they can even name it. That something is respect, believe me, and it was never about what you said. It was always about what you choose not to.